we're back. We're fed. We're watered. We're ready to get into the long discussion that normally is best moment, which is literally the best single moment in a game from this year.
Spoiler-tastic. The
category. If you thought we were spoiling before, holy shit, this is the point where we're going to spoil the crap out of some games. So, and the one reason I love this category as well is that the cryptic names we write on stuff, so that we know, like...
Some of them are jokes, some of them are not jokes.
Yeah, some of them are not quite jokes. So we have the Panopticon Fridge from Control.
You're going to have to remind me which one that is. But
the Bulk Deliveries in Wilmot's Warehouse. Lappy Tours Around the Station from Astral Chain.
Yep.
I forgot Astral Chain came out this year. The Ashtray Maze from Control. The Final Choice from Jenny the Clue. The Final Task from Untitled Goose Game. Parvati's Relationship from Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds. The Haunted Bookstore from Disco Elysium. Crossing the Waterlock from Disco Elysium. The Tribunal from Disco Elysium. The opening credits of Devil May Cry 5. David reappearing from Life is Strange 2. Crossing the Tar Sea, Death Stranding. Where are we? Die Hardman's final speech from Death Stranding.
Is it Die Hardman?
Die Hardman, yeah.
Okay.
That's how he pronounces it anyway.
I heard people call him Die Hardman in the game.
There's less...
is this another thing about the game that's confusing?
Yeah,
weird.
He himself uses only 2 syllables. It's Hardman. And that's what Cliff calls him as well. You Are the Champion from Apex. The last 4 hours of Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's probably actually closer to 6.
6 hours.
Yeah.
The Keyblade Graveyard from Kingdom Hearts 3, which I thought was the last 4 hours of that game.
But it's the start of the last 4 hours.
Vitalis from A Plague Tale Innocence. The Loot Playing in Mortau. I'd forgot that was a thing. And Inside the Mind from my friend Pedro.
Yeah.
So let's start from the top down. Panopticon Fridge. The Panopticon Fridge is when you get into Panopticon, which is where they keep all of the objects that are kind of dangerous.
Yeah, all the objects of power.
And one of them is just a fucking fridge with a dude sitting in front of it going...
Yeah. I can't not look at this fridge.
You need to get me out of here. I can't look away from this fridge because it does things.
Yeah. Someone needs to be looking at this fridge at all times.
Which is just a great core part of that game. It's like, okay, sure. And you go back and say, this guy's stuck here. I was like, oh shit, we didn't get Dave out. Oh god. So okay, I've unlocked it, go in and get him out. And then you go in a side
room. There's a connection room.
Yeah. Like a side thing with control panels. Yeah, I was just making sure. I thought I wasn't recording for a second.
Okay.
100% are.
You sure?
Yeah, positive. I can see the thing.
Okay.
You go into a side area to get into the main area, and as soon as you go into the side area, you just hear screaming and crunching.
The lights flicker.
You hear screaming and crunching. You go in, there's just this blood pool in front of this fridge. You're like, the fuck is the deal with this fridge? And you go up and touch the fridge, and it takes you to... For me, this is the first time this has happened to me.
Right.
It takes you to this weird, astral plane thing with this giant alien with a huge eye.
Yeah.
And that was the point where I was like,
yeah,
everything, I was ready and willing to take everything this game had, but at the point where it goes here's a fucking alien, you're like, okay, sure. I just thought it was this really nice encapsulation.
I would have felt better about that moment if the boss fight wasn't pissy.
The boss fight was annoying, and
it was a piece of piss.
It was more the fact that the final form, the floor just starts dropping out.
I think one of the problems that I have with Control is that combat's entirely trivial in that game when you realise that launch is the best thing you can do in all situations.
Yeah, just
so that boss was just literally 5 things into its eye and it died.
It was more just because you're aiming, because you're looking up at this creature.
It was a cool moment.
Kept dropping out, and that's how I kept dying rather than getting that. The bulk deliveries from Moments Warehouse, just the point where after 3 shifts, there's just this giant, after every shift actually, really, and it just gets progressively worse and worse and worse. This truck will just roll into your warehouse and dump tens of things at once, and you're just half of it is
you only get 3 minutes in between.
Yeah, so when you don't get a chance, so you get 3 shifts and then you get unlimited time to reorganize.
Right.
But in between each 3 shifts, you get this truckload of
delivery,
shit, which is this amazing mix of, oh shit, I don't have space to put these spades, and also, what the fuck are these harmonicas doing? Where am I going to put them?
Yeah.
In this 2-hour shift change thing.
Yeah.
Which is very good. Lappy Tours Around the Station. I don't know any of those words mean.
So, Astral Chain is the anime robot police officer game.
Yeah.
At the very start of the game, you get introduced to the station mascot, who's called called Lappy,
sure. Yes,
who is a police officer dressed up in a giant dog costume, and it's like a dog dressed up like. Are you looking up a picture of Lappy?
No, I know Lappy. Sorry,
okay. Like a giant dog costume, with like in police clothes. There's a big yellow dog in police clothes with a hat, and comes up to you, and he's got the kind of like the stereotypical. I think it's the same voice as that that bear that teaches you not to do forest fires.
Oh, Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, I think right. So. He kind of like walks up to you and is like, "Well, hey, partner, seems like it's your first day," and goes through this whole thing, and then says, "Lappy's gonna give you a tour around the police station, so you know where everything is." You go, "All right, sure." So it says Lappy prefers if you go and find these things on your own, and then Lappy will help you when you find it. Okay, so you go. He goes, "Let's go and find the break room." So you go find the break room, which is just like a big open area, and you're facing the break room, which is just like couches and like vending machines and stuff. And then Lappy starts talking, saying, "This is the break room," blah 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 blah. And the camera whips around, and Lappy's like right there in your face.
Okay, that's pretty
and
good.
It's like the camera pans your character, goes, "Oh god," and you're like, "Oh, okay, sure, that's a funny joke." They do the whole thing and say, "Okay, now we're gonna go and find what is it? We're gonna go find engineering, where you can get your equipment repaired." And you go to engineering. Same thing happens. He explains it. You turn around, Lappy's right there, and you're like, "Oh god." And I was like, "All right, sure, I get it. Okay, they're not gonna do this for every room." And it says, "Let's go find infirmary, where you can get patched up if you get hurt." You turn around, you go into the infirmary, it's like, "This is infirmary." So you turn around, and Lappy's not in the door. You're like, turn back around, he's not there, and the camera slowly pans to Lappy, who's sitting fetal position in a bed, and is just talking to you while doing this. And at the end of the conversation, just gets up and casually walks out of the room. You're like, okay. It says, "Let's go." What's the next one? Oh, "Let's go find the locker room where you can store your equipment." Goes to the locker room. "This is your locker," and stuff like that. Turn around. Lappy's not in the doorway. You turn around. He's not in the room. And Lappy keeps talking to you, telling him, like, "Everybody has a locker," while the head of Lappy slowly appears over the lockers. And like appears and starts talking to you, then dips back down and casually walks out of the room again. You're like, "Oh god, what are they gonna do next? There's 2 rooms left." And you're like, "Let's go find the training room." I think it is. It's just a big training room. Oh no, it's "Let's go find the main office in the Legatus terminal where you can deal with your robots." Go to the Legatus terminal. Lappy starts talking about Legatus. You turn around, Lappy's not there. You turn back around and he's in your face. You're like, "Oh god, it's this again." "All right, sure, fine." Legatus terminal, because "Let's go find the toilets." And you're like, "Okay."
Oh, no.
It's like, everybody needs to relieve themselves, so let's go find the toilets. Go in front of the toilets, and it's like male, female. And you're like, Lappy starts talking to you, and it's like, "Obviously we have male and female toilets." And Lappy's head comes. I need to do this like physically.
Okay.
It's like doors, like the side of the wall is like this, and Lappy's head slowly comes around in a crouched position in the female toilet, and tells you all about the toilets, and then very slowly goes back in, and then they don't come back in.
That's it.
That's the whole thing. It's just this really weird quest that I found pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
In a game that is really quite generic in its anime-ness.
Sure.
In terms of like its story and its characters and stuff, there was this one moment where I was like, that was actually pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. I like that. That's pretty good.
The ashtray maze.
The ashtray maze is just awesome.
Is incredible. Yeah, that thing is.
Yeah, so the ashtray maze is like, you get a thing that's like, it's part of the building that they say like you need what is it? It's like you need the music to be able to focus on it or something.
There's like something in. They say that to get to the final area, which is the Panopticon. No, it's after the Panopticon.
Yeah.
To get to the final area where Polaris is living, you have to go through this ashtray maze, and you get told by both the director and Ati.
Yes.
That if you go into the maze, it fucks with your head and keeps moving, and you can never basically get lost in it because your brain can't focus on it. So Ati says, "I'll give you my Walkman."
Right.
because the music helps me focus, and you can use that.
Yeah.
So you do that. You do a thing for Artie, and you get his Walkman, and then you get to the start of the ashtray maze, and you see Jessie like put her things in.
And the thing I love about it as well is like it's all this like supernatural like future, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's these like shitty Walkman headphones.
Yeah, it's like the old orange big buff ones. Yeah, big foam ones.
Yeah.
And she puts these on, and out comes this fucking Norwegian Viking metal.
Yeah.
That is the fake Viking metal band from Alan Wake.
Yes, that's what it was. That was the detail I'd missed when I saw it.
It was only something that I very quickly picked up on, because I was like, what the fuck am I listening to? And I had to go and look it up. But yeah, they're the fake Viking metal band from Alan Wake.
That's really good.
And you basically go through this maze of... It's like styled like a hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Like a 60s hotel.
It gave me very like... kind of Shining vibes.
Twin Peaksy sort of
thing.
thing.
Yeah, kind of Twin Peaksy kind of.
Yeah, so you have to go through this as basically the entire thing is changing around you.
Like everything morphs,
like
and
all the walls move and like open up new passages, and like walls change and doors open in the roof that you have to jump through, and it just becomes this weird mix of this strange music playing in your head and this amazing bit of design in the game of them carrying you through this maze through all sorts of weird... I don't know how they did it.
No,
it's an incredible thing where bits are like sliding out and pushing in, and it creates this maze in front of you. Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's an incredible sequence.
The bit from the... I briefly alluded to it in the Superliminal video, which never made it up because it didn't come out right.
Yeah.
The end of Superliminal is like that as well, where it's like flipping gravity and you're falling, like doors are on walls that you'll fall through and stuff. Like it's very cool. It's a really that moment is very, very good.
It was it was a thing that was like staggering. It was like you say for a lot of things where it's like I can't see how they're doing this. It was staggering thing.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Jenny LeClue,
the final choice in Jenny LeClue. So I briefly mentioned this earlier. If the order of this keeps, where like there's this dual narrative, right? So there's the author dealing with the author of the series of Jenny LeClue books, dealing with the fact that his publisher has gone to him and said, your books are not selling. Well, it's not that they're not. Yeah, they're not selling as well as they used to.
Yeah, your numbers are going down because everything is like samey.
Yeah, we need you to do something drastic to this series, or we're cutting you off.
They said they wanted to like kill a character.
So they wanted a murder, which is not a thing that those books have traditionally ever done before. And then you've got the actual Jenny LeClue story. So the kind of final moments of that part, it's not it's too long to be an episode, but it's like part one of the series. You get to the very end, and like all of it has come together. And the kind of main case is all come to a head. She's had her what do you call it? The ballroom scene, not the ballroom scene. The scene where they get everyone together and go, "It was you who did it," that thing.
She discusses her logic and
how then it explains all the thing. But basically, the whole thing ends up down to like one of these two people has to not exist anymore. For reasons that are too big to get into, but like one of these two people has to stay behind and basically die, and it does this beautiful thing where like in the story it gets that point where the three of them have the realization that one of the other two that's not Jenny is not making it out of here, and it pulls back to the author going like, I need to finish this book. Like, I need to do this thing that I don't want to do in the first place.
He's written himself into a
and he
corner.
Basically gets it down to like, it's on his desk and there's just two post-it notes that are like kill X, kill Y. And you have to like finger point on the thing and make this choice. And it's the moment where like all of the story stuff ties together and it links back to the overarching story stuff.
Narrative that is...
Like it's distressing for Jenny, it's distressing for the author, it's the whole thing. It's this really cool way of wrapping this up.
That's a cool thing.
And neither of the options are good as well. Like neither of the options are like, this is an easy choice.
Right, yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, sure, I get, that was horrible.
The final task.
The final task, I kind of only put this on here because it made me go, oh fuck
I
you.
can't remember what it is.
So the final moment is you do all the sections and then you get to the model village at the end, which is a really cool moment where it's like, oh, this is the village you've just been through. Like there's the thing, and you get to the very end and it's like, fuck with the church, and you knock the church over with the bell and you pick up the bell, and then the objective just comes up and says, take the bell back home. And it's this sudden realization is like, I'm going to have to take this fucking bell that gives me away the entire way manually. And as you're going back, you're like, oh, but I opened that shortcut. And the shortcut's shut. It's been boarded back up again. No. It's been boarded.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
It's been boarded back up because they're like, fuck this goose.
Yeah, because you realize that, like, people just aren't taking your shit anymore.
No, and like, this is the moment where, like, everyone... And it's weird as well because it's like the weird kind of... what was the game that does, like, the mirror levels?
Celeste.
There was an older game that did it, but yeah, like
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night, where it's like the mirror castle. Where you're like, fuck, I have to do this backwards. Like, I know how to get from here to here, but how the fuck do you get back
the way?
The whole time, like, you're carrying this fucking bell that rings every time you go too fast.
Yeah,
and it's just like, it was just this moment where
in a game that took stealth very flippantly.
Yeah,
at that point,
it suddenly became like yeah. And it was, for me, it was this moment where I went, oh fuck you.
Yeah.
When I realized what it was going to get me to do, I really enjoyed that part of it.
Parvati's relationship in the Outer Worlds was just really nice.
It was nice, but it was slightly more.
It was just
than
like really wholesome.
It was it was a nice, but it, like in a game that I kind of fell off of eventually. It was the one, like, no joke, that was the kind of storyline where I was like, that was kind of pushing me forward a lot. Yeah, it was like, okay, I want to see where this goes.
Parvati is definitely the best character in that game
for sure.
So seeing her like awkwardly bumble her way through discovering her like relationship and
totally,
like her
and like the initial
emotional feelings,
and it's just like there's so much stuff in there that was just very cool. It's like she's like this, like, I heard as soon as somebody heard describe her as, oh, she's just Kaylee from Firefly. I was like, oh shit, you're totally right.
She's this like really socially awkward engineer type.
Yeah, but like the idea of like this rough and tumble engineer like covered in oil. I was like, fuck, I've got to clean myself. Like, what? I need to go get
the quest in a thing that in a game that you deal a lot with, like capitalism versus people, and like, aren't companies horrible and stuff like that. The quest steps in that are literally just go find some nice soap.
Yeah.
Go get her a nice dress.
Yeah.
Like,
get some dinner for
dinner. Like it was a really nice quest, and then it all pays off with them having dinner and them like going steady and just deciding they're in a relationship. And it was just all very nice. Like, nothing was really.
Yeah. I really liked Parvati as a character, and we don't have like a best character category.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you.
So yeah, I wanted to be in there. I rearranged these so we don't just do a triple Disco Elysium in one go.
Yeah, that's fair. So
tell me about the Haunted Bookstore.
Haunted Bookstore. It's pretty early on in the game, and this was kind of the idea of where I could see where this game was going. So you, for your first let loose in Revachol, there is your hotel that you're staying in, the Whirling Rags, and across the way there is a bookstore. Your first interaction with the bookstore is there's a little girl outside it trying to sell books.
Yes.
And you can talk to this little girl a lot and basically get to a point where you say to her, like, no amount of money is worth you standing out in the cold and like breaking your fingers or whatever. Just go inside and I'll talk to your parents. You go inside and you talk to the mum, and you learn over the course of talking to the girl that the mother is convinced that the business is going to fail because it is in this like cursed commercial district of Revachol.
Okay.
So you go inside and you say, look, I've sent your child indoors because she's dying, basically. Like, she's freezing cold. Like, you can't let her do this. He's like, oh, but we need to make the money because we're going to break the curse of this district in Revachol.
This is why I was slightly confused about this, because...
Is everything alright with the audio?
No, it is fine. I'm just making sure because I moved my position. I'm sure I'm still getting picked up.
Yeah.
Because I definitely heard them talk about her being worried about the business, like, almost unrealistically.
Yeah, so they talk constantly. If you talk to the little girl, she is like, yeah, like, every day mum is talking about how, like, she knows the business is going to fail because of this curse. So you go inside and talk to the mum, and she says, yeah, like, there's a curse on this area of Revachol. Like, no business can succeed because of this curse.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, can you, like, explain it? And she's like, no, nobody can explain the curse. Like, it's just, like, inside this building, there's like a cursed spirit that dooms all businesses. So I've, like, locked the door and put a bunch of Simian, who are like their equivalent of Asian, basically, like, charms and stuff on it to keep the spirit at bay. And you're like, all right, okay, sure. So you go away, and you can solve it there and then. But I went away and came back, and the way I did it anyway was basically convinced the owner that I was a psychic detective.
Oh.
Was basically like, oh, I know the occult. Like, I'll deal with this curse, no problem. I've dealt with a billion curses before. And she's like, this sort of curse is like, yeah, I've seen this everywhere. It's fine. Take down the charms and give me the key, and I'll deal with it. She goes, okay. Gives you the key. You go in the room where the locked door is, and there is like your shivers kick in, which is like your body response that says like, it's kind of like unnatural awareness.
Yeah,
it's kind of just like
right.
Something's not quite right here, and you feel the shivers in the back of your neck. Your body just kind of goes, yeah, there's something weird about this. I don't quite know what it is. So you unlock the door, and you go in, and there's a gym in the back.
Okay.
It's just a gym with like weights and stuff like that, and you and Kim look around, and you're like, yeah, there's nothing. This is just a gym. Like, I don't see anything weird about this. Go upstairs. You have to go in with your flashlight and like find a way through the.
Oh, okay.
That might be where you faltered.
Maybe.
And inside is just.
Also, I kicked the door down, but that's.
Oh, okay. I guess you can do that too.
Yeah.
Inside is just an office block with like various rooms and various like things in it. You walk into one and it's like filled with like mannequins and like weird poses and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's strange. And there's like, you find like textiles and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Walk in another one and you find like a bunch of broken old machines and computers and a working like radio thing.
Okay.
That links to it ends up being like a radio based role playing game.
Oh, okay.
That you can dial into and learn about and stuff like that. But you find like whiteboards filled with like calculations and like dialogue trees and stuff like that, and you find like an old it's like their equivalent of a hard drive, like filled with information about this stuff, about this like role playing system that someone was designing, and
weird.
Like, oh, this is strange, and you keep going, and like you find more businesses. I can't remember what the other businesses are. Oh no, sorry, yeah, you go into the basement and you find like a bunch of freezers, and like there's like one big freezer that's like in the shape of a bear, and you're like, this, I don't understand what this is, and you like look around, and you find like an ice cream maker and like a bunch of weird freezers and stuff.
Right.
And you're like, I can't find any ghost or anything, but this just a
weird,
dilapidated office building. And you find a big oven, like huge oven, and you just look at it and you're like, yeah, it's like a really big oven. It looks like for maybe industrial cooking or something like that. You have the option to shout into the oven, just as a thing. And you're like, okay, just shout in the oven. You can also kick the oven. The oven, I've seen this before, where if you kick the oven, you take health damage.
Sure.
And if that health damage drops you to 0, you kick the oven, your foot hurts so much that you have a heart attack and you die.
Okay.
It's weird. But anyway, so you can shout into this oven, and you shout into the oven, and you hear a reply. You just scream into the oven, and you just hear someone go, hello?
Okay.
They're like, hi, is that the ghost? You're like, no, like, but I think her name was Erica, and you're like, my name's Erica. And you're like, are you the ghost? You're like, no, I just live here. Like, where are you? And it's like, I'm upstairs. Like, I've unlocked the door if you want to come and talk to me. Like, okay, thanks. So you go upstairs, and you find this woman in what used to be like the chimney of this building.
Yeah.
And she's got like a bed and a workstation and everything. You walk in and she says, hi, I'm Erica. I'm an artisan dice maker for role-playing systems.
Okay.
And you're like,
what?
Okay. Like, hi, like, I'm whatever. Oh, you don't know your name at that point. So you say, I'm a detective for the RCM, and you explain everything. And you're like, oh, cool. What are you doing here? You're like, I'm investigating the ghost. And she's like, what ghost are you talking about? Do you want dice? And you're like, no. Like, the ghost that is like, I was told by the women downstairs that there's this ghost that means the businesses fail. And you're like, oh no, there's no ghost. These businesses just failed because they're businesses.
And they fail.
Yeah. And you're like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, and like they explain that because in Revachol there was an old government there was a communist revolution, and then there was capitalism that took over that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, when the capitalist government took over, they gave grants and stuff to like all these businesses just to get people going.
Right.
And then the economy failed, so everything stopped. Like, all the businesses failed. So it's like, what happened is like, well, the first store on the left, like there was a couple of women who opened up this like clothing brand, their own like homemade clothing brand, and they got priced out the market and failed. There was the group of teenagers that decided they wanted to make games for people.
Right.
So they decided that they were going to hook into this radio role-playing system and like totally redesign the rules and make their own thing. But technology costs a lot of money, and then when the money runs out, you can't do anything. And it goes through all the things just going like, no, it's just capitalism. Like capitalism just fails. And you're like, oh shit, like there's no ghost. It's just businesses fuck up. And it is this like, and the only person that's left is this person making these really specific handcrafted dice that cost a lot because they're handmade that she sells on to people. It's like, so how do you survive? And it's like, well, I only make like 2 or 3 sets of dice per month, but it's enough to keep me alive, so I just keep doing it. So it's the first realization in that game where it's like the things that you think are like out with your control and this higher power sort of thing, it's just government, and it's just money, and it's just that's how that works. And you go, oh right, okay, I guess there's no ghost. It's like, yeah, there's no ghost. It's just it just fucked up, and like every business that's been alive in Revachol has
just
either
failed because it was a
gone
business.
down or failed because of either the revolution or something's gone wrong. So you go down to the woman and you said, oh okay, I've dealt with the ghost. She's like, okay, great. Like what was it? Can you explain it? And you have the like multiple options of going like, oh, I've banished it to the other realm. I've like dealt with all this. It's like I found this woman in the chimney, like all these options, and then there's the final option of just saying they were just bad businesses and they lost. Like that's just the game. So I went like, I'm gonna be honest with this woman, and just kind of went, yep, there were businesses in this building and they all failed because capitalism sucks sometimes, and you lose all your money and stuff like that. And she refuses to accept it. It's like, no, like it must be a ghost. Like no business fails that much and all that stuff. And it's like, no, I'm telling you, like I have the evidence. Like I have all this stuff. Like stuff just fails. And she kind of like goes into like this weird mental state of not really being able to understand it and comprehend it.
Right.
And so just shuts down.
Weird.
And just says, I'd like you to leave now. And you go, like, I can explain it. She's like, no, I'd need you to leave. And she becomes really important later on, and things become really awkward if you tell her, hey, capitalism sucks sometimes and your business might fail.
Right.
And it was this amazing feeling of going like, this game is doing way higher thinking than other role-playing games of this sort of genre, where it's like, most of the time if you did that sort of thing, you would go, oh, like you get there and you discover like someone died or something. You'd be like, oh, sure, maybe it's haunted or whatever. But they were just like, nah, the world sucks. It just blows that's just what happens. It was this amazing moment just of going, fuck, this world is so fucked up. And it reflects perfectly back to the real world when you're like, yeah, businesses just fail if you don't do it right.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's very good. I like that.
David reappearing in Life is Strange.
Yeah, so this was a really...
This is the thing you talked to me about.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know, maybe I missed a line of dialogue that made this more obvious than it actually was, but so David from the first game was
security guard on campus.
Zoe's
brother.
No, Max and Chloe's stepdad or like her mum's boyfriend,
something like
at the
that
time. And he was the security guard,
militaristic
guy.
So
ex-military, like was the security guard at the school, like that thing, and really like she was not like they did not get on very well. He was like
he was a hard ass.
He was a hard ass. She was rebelling. Like it didn't go very well. So then you're playing 2 totally different set of characters, totally different thing. This is episode 5, so this is the last episode where you've met your estranged mum again who left. You've met up with her again. She's helped you out, and you're staying in this kind of not colony is the wrong word, like place in the desert with a bunch of other people who are like getting the fuck out of there. Colony. Of like RVs that are out there. So she lives in an RV. There's like a gay commune is probably closer. And there's like a gay couple who have been like, their families don't agree, so they live there. There's like an artist who does art for what is their equivalent of Burning Man.
Oh right, sure.
There's like that kind of level of like, but all these people work together and like they do like a weekly shop where a bunch of them go into the nearest town and get stuff.
Yeah, it's like an art commune.
Yeah, it's an art commune, right? And you wake up at one point, or you wake up at the start of that and you come back and your mum's not there. There's a note saying, hey, I've gone shopping, I'll be back in a minute. You go introduce yourself or go talk to everyone. You've been living there for like a couple of weeks. Go talk to everyone around there. And the van comes back, the Jeep comes back with your mum and this other person in the passenger seat, and he's got like a Hawaiian shirt on, like big beard, like kind of hair tied back, and he's talking about, and he says something very briefly about missing his daughter or something. It's this offhand comment, and you're like, oh cool, and there's obviously a story there, and you talk, and then you catch up with him, and then you go, he has like a radio, he's fixed a radio for you so you can talk, so you and your little brother can talk.
Oh, okay.
And you go in and you just explore thing, and there's just like, there's things about like a letter from Blackwood Academy, and there's like this other stuff, and then there's just on the fridge just a picture of Chloe and mum and the David.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I found that stuff, and then you come back and he sits you down at one point because you're about to do your like final leg of your journey, and he's like, you need to look after your brother, like it's super important, and like this is gonna be fucking hard and all this kind of, does give you this kind of like fatherly speech, and says like, yeah, like I really miss my daughter, but we don't talk, but we've kind of started to build a relationship back up. And it 100% ties into the events of the first game, where depending on which ending you got, so the two endings of the first game are you sacrifice Arcadia Bay to save Chloe,
right,
or you give up Chloe and save the town. So in my game, like I sacrificed. The first, what did I do? Yeah, I saved Chloe and sacrificed the town.
Right.
So that picked up then at that point where like David escaped, or David wasn't there when the town exploded.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as the two of them had like sacrificed the town, they fucking booked.
Oh yeah.
So they're gone somewhere, but she's now phoning him and keeping in contact.
Right.
He's gone, like he's totally changed. He's like changed his philosophy in life and all this kind of stuff, and like apologized for others. It was just really cool to be like, that is fucking, because I was going like, that sounds a lot like David from the first, and it's cool that he comes back and it's totally different.
There's not a lot of links between the first and second games.
There's basically zero. Like there's some stuff. There's like a mention of Blackwell Academy a couple of times, and then there's a newspaper with Arcadia Bay, the disaster of Arcadia Bay at some point.
Right.
But that's it. There's no other real connections.
Super ties or anything like that.
But so that was cool that the one character you would bring back to the first thing is the hard ass stepfather.
Yeah.
Who's now totally changed and being like,
that's a cool.
It's a really nice
character
little moment.
Yeah.
And also the fact it tied into like your story from the first one was also kind of cool.
Do you import your save in that game?
It says, it starts the game the first time and goes, hey, we've seen you got a Life is Strange 1 thing. Here's some patches for your backpack.
Ah, okay.
So it doesn't explicitly say we have imported your save,
but
it's like we know you're there.
Yeah.
Or it pulls it from your account where you're uploading.
Oh, right.
Something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I just thought it was a really nice.
That's a cool moment.
Okay, that's the character you bring back, and it's a really good redemption thing for him, because he kind of didn't come out of that particularly well. But he
gets his moment.
Nice little.
That's a cool thing.
Crossing the waterlock. Is this the thing with the fucking white supremacist?
No, that's the.
Oh wait, the thing at the bottom of the map.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I was wondering how this was going to go.
So right, yeah, that you're talking about Measurehead.
Yes.
That's the where you get into race supremacy and all that stuff. Yeah, that's fucked up as well.
Okay.
But so yeah, the waterlock. You learn very quickly in the first few hours of that game that the town is split in half across a river. That there's like Revachol, and then there's the fishing village just below it, and you can't get to the fishing village because someone has broken the waterlock, which is like a lock, that you can walk across. You, after the second day, I think it is, the waterlock gets repaired.
It's what you start on a Monday and it says it's going to get fixed on the Wednesday or something like that.
So you wake up on the Wednesday, the waterlock's repaired. So you can go across the fishing village. At this point, you have reason to go to the fishing village. You have suspects and stuff like that you need to go talk to. And you start walking across the waterlock, you and Kim, and you find the first thing you see is a car implanted in the ice.
Because when you're looking at it before, if you've got a high enough visual calculus, you can see like there's a car and it took this
if you look at the area where the hangings happened, you see tire tracks.
Yeah.
And you're like, they must have had like a getaway driver or something to like get out. And so you find this car in the ice, face down in the ice, like nose down into the water in the ice. And you look at it and your amnesiac brain is like, there's something about this that's familiar. I don't know what it is.
Right.
And Kim's like, yeah, the car, it's like an old car, but it kind of looks familiar to me as well. And you go, we need to look at this car because it could be important because we've seen that there's a getaway driver. This could be the car.
Of course.
So you and Kim sit on a pair of like children's swing sets near the car,
right,
and wait for the ice to thaw.
Okay.
While this car is thawing out. And while you're waiting, you have these like weird heart-to-heart moments about like, you ask Kim of like, do you think I'm a good cop? And
right, yeah.
Kim obviously will tell you based on what you've done. It's
Yeah.
tells you a whole bunch of stuff, and then you just like start shooting the shit with Kim. It's like a nice moment for those two characters.
Yeah.
And then Kim says, it looks like it's thawed enough for us to be able to get into the boot or whatever and look at it. And you go up to the car, and as soon as the boot opens, your brain, I can't remember which one it is, but something in your brain kicks in going, you don't want to look in here.
Oh, right.
And you go, like, why not? And it's like, trust me, you're not going to like what you're going to find in this car. And you go, well, whatever. And you go up to the car and open the boot up. And inside is an RCM police officer jacket.
Okay.
You pull the jacket out and you're like, I don't know what's going on. And you open one of the pockets and you pull out your police identification card.
Oh, right.
With your face on it.
Right.
And two of the big quests in the game that start off really early are find your police ID and find your gun.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking gun.
It's a gun.
You know what you look like if you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that becomes important in a minute. But you find your police identification card and you instantly, like, your brain just goes, that's you. Like, you know that's you. So you read your name, and it's the first time you learn that character's name.
Okay.
Of Harry, or Harrier, or however you want to pronounce it. It's Harry Dubois is his name. And your brain just suddenly goes into overdrive going, you crashed your car.
Yeah.
Like, you went on a drunken bender, got in your police car, and fucked around and crashed into the water lock, and then like went into the car. And your character kind of has a breakdown.
Sure.
And goes, Christ, I'm horrible. Like, this is the like, what the fuck have I ruined police property? And like, goes through all this stuff. And Kim will either be like nice to you if you've been good, or will obviously say, yeah, you're terrible. Like this, look what you've done. And is this moment of this character not even finally, because you've realized what a terrible person you are, but like, it's one of these things. It's like, fuck, I'm the worst. Like, I'm a horrible person. So you've progressed onto the fishing village, and you get given like a shed to sleep in. Effectively, it's like a shed with a bed and stuff. And one of the main things in that game, we were talking about this earlier, was in the first things in that game, you can look in that mirror and look at yourself.
Yeah.
If you do that, you get the character portrait, and it talks about the look, which is like the constant kind of weird smirk that you have on your face. And it tells you, your brain tells you that it's a look that this old movie star used to have, that was like this movie star cowboy sort of hero.
Yeah.
He would always have this smirk on, and you thought it looked really cool, so you just adopted this look.
Okay.
And you can go like, I don't want this anymore. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't stop the look. Like, you just can't stop it. It's like an impossible check to try and get the thing off. So you go into your shed, and there's a mirror with like a shaving kit, and you look in the mirror, and your character is like long hair with like mutton chops and a big mustache, and you have two options, and it is like you do a lot of like self-contemplation of like, what the fuck have I done, like all this stuff, and your two options are shave the beard and deal with the look. So shave the beard is like a really easy check, but it is like a big thing of like, you shave this beard because it's like a disco beard, and you're like a remnant of the old times. You're like, I'm done with this. Get rid of this beard. And it changes on your character portrait as well, so you're completely smooth. And then it's deal with the look. And if you highlight checks in that game, it tells you your positives and negatives based on your choices. And it goes from impossible to being even, which means you have a 50-50 shot. And most of the thing is like, you realize who you are.
Right.
Like, you're not the look. That's not you.
Right.
You need to deal with this. So I was like, they're kind of right. Like, I'm no cowboy. Like, I'm a piece of shit. And I'm trying to improve myself, but I'm a piece of shit. Click on the thing, and the thing passes. There is this giant speech about like Harry realizing that he is not he's not this superstar cop. He's not this like amazing cowboy. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He has flaws. He's really fucked up. And the expression goes from him with this really dumb smirk on his face to this horrible realization. And that's the portrait you get for the rest of the game.
Wow.
And it is chilling. And
Wow.
it's just this, your character suddenly changes at that point. And it is just like you sleep and you go out and talk to Kim, and Kim goes, "You shaved your face," and you go, "Yep." And he goes, "Are you all right?" And it's like, "I'm not okay.
No.
But I'm trying."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay, sure." So then you just go through the rest of the game with like no mutton chops, no face.
Wow.
You are not that person anymore. It is a really powerful like
That's
this
cool.
character moment of just the mechanics of the game really working, and it feeds back into who this character is. It helps that because your character's an amnesiac, you're learning this along with the character.
Right, yeah.
So you could react in a totally different way
Yeah.
of being like, no, he's like a fucking gun-ho cop, like he just does whatever he wants or whatever. Which is the same thing because you get quests for like drink and take drugs.
Yeah.
And I never did it. I was just like, I don't want...
I've got the drink quest.
I was like, I don't want him to drink or take drugs anymore. Like, this guy is going full cold turkey. I want to be better than this.
Right.
And he did throughout the whole thing. And but it's like, you could be just like just stick to tradition,
Totally.
get pissed and take drugs or whatever. There's this amazing moment of just like him suddenly realizing what a fucking piece of shit he is.
Great.
But then he can turn it around. But then that leads directly into like finding your gun, which was also like a big moment. But
Right.
yeah, that the waterlock thing was a really powerful character moment that led into each other. It was amazing.
That's cool.
Crossing Tarsi.
Crossing the Tarsi was a weird moment in Death Stranding where they basically, so you're going from east to west across the US, and you get to the point where it's like the BT tar has just like swallowed a giant, huge chunk of it, and it's just this giant sea of tar that you just can't cross. And the game basically dumps you at the coast and says like, figure out how to get across the sea, and like that's it. And it took me a while to be like, okay, well there's a bunch of ETs around here, so I can't really do much. And I'm like, okay, can I just like jump on my fucking tiny platform and like hover my way over? No, you can't do that.
Oh, you can't do your skating thing?
Yeah, I was trying this thing. It was like, is there like a zip line? I was thinking about construction and all this kind of stuff. And while I was doing all of that, BT grabbed me, and I'm like, oh, fucking get off, and kicked him off and escaped. It was fine. Trying this stuff, and another BT attacked me. I was like, fucking get off. And that's the time where I fucked it up.
Oh, okay.
And once you fuck it up, when you get captured by BTs in that game, the other, or like the city, all the buildings and stuff like that were...
Yeah, you get carried away.
Well, you get carried away, and then all the buildings and stuff that were part of the Tarsi like float to the surface.
Yeah.
And you got that stuff. And when they all float to the surface, there's just this straight like, oh, I can see a path that I can just go.
Yeah.
And it was this really cool moment of like, okay, they did actually leave it up to you to try and figure that out. And I found it completely by accident, but there's probably a logic there. You could be like, well, this is what happens when you trigger the tar.
Yeah.
So I can see that. But also, like, I basically didn't fight BTs that entire game. Like, I just avoided every BT conversation.
Sure.
So I wasn't as up on the here's what happens thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool moment of like, okay, you are actually letting me do it, which is contrasted with a moment at the end of the game where they then say like, hey, you need to get back to... It was like you need to travel, or you need to do something, or there's somebody stuck there's somebody stuck on one of the beaches.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, how the fuck are we going to get there? And in my head we went, oh, I should probably go talk to Fragile, because that's what she does. She jumps beaches.
Yeah, does our teleport.
But I was like far away from the kind of the home base. Well, not far away, but I was collecting a bunch of resources.
Yeah.
When they said like, hey, you need to go back, I was like, oh, cool, I'll go talk to Fragile. And as I'm running back towards the thing, that's the point where the game does where Sam then goes like, how would I get to a beach? Maybe I should talk to... I'm way ahead of you, dude.
I've got it. Sam, it's fine.
Don't worry. But this inner monologue would have been real useful 6 hours ago when I needed to cross the sea. It's just, that was a kind of cool moment from that thing. The tribunal sounds ominous.
So this is the first time that violence actually occurs in this game.
Okay.
So
this is Disco Elysium.
This is Disco Elysium. So the entire game is about it. One of the main plots of the game ends up being about the workers in Revachol versus their bosses, effectively. They're in a like basically on strike, and saying, hey, like you like it's the usual stuff of like workers' rights, usual stuff. The high ups at the company, who are called like the Wild Pines Corporation, have hired a mercenary group come and to issue what they call a tribunal for the mercenary group, which historically has meant the mercenary group comes and deals with the problem, which has implications when you think about it. So you go and do a whole bunch of your investigating in the fishing village and stuff like that. Gets to the point in your investigation where no one in Revachol has anything to do with this murder. Like they're all innocent. And you come back to the Whirling Rags to be able to tell people this, and the mercenary group have shown up. And it's time for the tribunal. And you get there and you hear the voices, and Kim says, this is going to go badly. And you go, what do you mean? It says, they're here. And like points at them. And it is four people with very large guns decked out in power armor. Like white, massive. It's the same armor that the guy in the
hangman has,
But it's like immaculate. And they all have big rifles. One of them has like the Siam hat, like the big rice hat. One has one of them, and a very big rifle, like a sniper rifle. And you get there, and it's like those four guys, and then everybody else in Revachol, and you're like, this can't happen.
No,
like, this is terrible. Like, we need to stop this. So you immediately jump in the middle of them. They're like, they've not done anything. There's no reason to hold this. Like, stop everything. And all the mercenaries are just like, no, like this isn't like. So
they're there to basically get things.
They're there to stop the protest, stop the strike, basically. And they're like, we were the person that was hanged is a member of their mercenary group, and they've been hired to stop this. They're like, we don't care about evidence. Like they're like, we need to do. They killed one of us, and we've been employed to stop them. This ends now. And you go in and say, look, it wasn't any of them. Like we know it's not any of them because of X, Y, and Z and stuff. And you try and go through the evidence, and the evidence that you have at that point is not good enough. Because you do a whole thing, and it basically ends up with you going, nobody in this building has done it, and you know that there are one of three places that the shot that actually killed the guy, because he got shot. There are three other places that the shot came from that killed this guy, because you've done a whole bunch of like visual calculus and figured this out. You're like, nobody here did it. They definitely got shot. There's nothing to do with the hanging here. The hanging happened after. This person got shot, and it's either from here, here, or here. We know this, and they are like
not interested.
They're barely interested in it. Is like, well, like we've investigated this area, and there's no trace of gunfire. There's no way anybody could make that shot. And points at the third place. Is like, zero chance anybody can make that shot. So if there's not in this first place, it has to be someone here. Have you got evidence of someone in that first place? And you went to that place and there's nothing there. And you're like, I don't have evidence. Everybody draws their guns.
Oh, Jesus.
And you're like, oh, fuck, this is going to go so badly. You shout to the owner of the Whirling Rags, who's like looking from the balcony. Is Classia there? Because she's the woman. She's the one that was there when the guy was killed. And it's like, is she there? And she's like, no, she bolted like a day ago. And you're like, shit, I actually told her to do that. Because in my game, she was like, she's done nothing wrong. She's done absolutely nothing wrong. And she was on the run because she was like corporate espionage. So
you're just like, get out of town.
So I was like, just leave. Like, you're going to die if you stay here, so you might as well go. She's like, no, she's gone. And you're like, shit, I told her to do that. And the guys, your visual brain takes over, and it's like the guy in the corner with the long rifle has like cocked his gun.
He's ready to go.
And you're like, shit, I need to deal with this quickly. And I had nothing. Like, I was an all-intelligence character and I had no evidence, so my guy was basically defenseless. It was like, you need to stop, like, there's nothing here. And your brain takes over and says, like, you hear the click of the trigger, and you can react fast enough to dodge the bullet that's aimed at you. Which is like a total Materix thing, which my guy wasn't good at. I was like, well, I'm going to try and dodge the bullet. It was like a really low chance, but he did it.
Right.
And I was like, shit, yes. So you like, this gun fires off and your guy Matrix dodges kind of out of the way. And you're like, then the thing comes up of like, okay, what do you want to do now? You're like, oh no, like what do I do here? It's like, you can keep talking or you can draw your gun.
Right.
Or you can just wait and see what happens. I was like, well, I've got my gun, but I don't have any bullets. Like, it's not loaded.
Right.
And I was like,
just try and bluff it.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, sure, like, I may be able to talk my way out of it. I'll draw my gun. Guy draws a gun, points it at the leader of the mercenary group. And the mercenary group leader just laughs and fires his rifle at you. And you got another chance to dodge this bullet, which I failed horribly.
Right.
So Harry got shot in the shoulder and like gets taken out. And is like horribly bleeding. And like Kim runs over to you and stuff like that and is like, needs to get you up and stuff like that. One of the mercenaries walks up behind Kim and just blasts him away.
Whoa.
And then you pass out. And it's this horrible moment of like, you know something's bad's happened, but you passed out.
You have no idea. You're
idea.
Not conscious, yeah.
And you wake up, having been like treated and like everything, and it's Kuno standing over you, who's like the little shithead kid.
Yeah.
And in my game, I said to him, there's a whole side quest you can do where it's like you need to go and get drugs from his dad for him to then go sell. And it was like, what I ended up doing was taking the drugs and throwing them away.
Sure.
And I went to Kuno and went like, yeah, got rid of those drugs. You need to get off the drugs. Like, this is, you can't live like this.
Yeah.
Wake up next to Kuno, and Kuno explains that like, yeah, he got clean and now he's like, he hates his dad and realizes that everything's shit and he wants to help you. And he helped you by like dragging you away and like patching you up and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck happened to Kim? He's like, he's in critical condition in hospital.
Yeah.
He's alive, but barely. I'm like, okay, good. What happened to everybody else? He said, yeah, they all got gunned down.
All of them?
All of them.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, the mercenary group took you out and then went on a massacre. So you go downstairs in the Whirling Rags and there is no one there. Except the owner. The owner is there. Because he ran down and locked all the doors and stayed safe.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck happened? And you're like, I mean, you tried, but like, there was nothing you could do about that. And you're like, fuck, like this has gone so badly. Like, what the fuck can I do? And the only thing you have left is to go to that third place where they say no one can take a shot from and see if there's something to know if that's what happened. But it was just this amazing moment of just the character that I played, who had spent the entire game being like so clever and so like picking people's arguments apart with logic and evidence and all that sort of stuff. There was a moment where the evidence just wasn't enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And it cost like 30 people their lives. You're like, fuck, you feel so bad when that happened.
Which you would think that maybe like if you'd put your skills in like bluffing or like, or you were more physical.
The thing, yeah, exactly. The thing I thought about was like, fuck, if I was faster, or if I could have dodged those shots and then maybe run up on the guy. Or maybe there were bullets somewhere. Maybe if I'd had bullets, I could have shot someone.
Which is the advantage of the fact they don't show you the checks you
can't do. So I had no idea.
Right? So you don't actually know.
They let you. They show you the Materics check and show you that it's going to go badly.
Yeah.
Even if you do it, it's like, well, I've got no other option. I might as well do it. But if you're better, you might. Kim might be alright, or like. But like I woke up and then learned that and was like, fuck, it's so horrible.
Which is a really good mechanic for regret, right? Because that's what you do as a human being, where you're like, oh, if only I'd just done this.
Hindsight is like, you have a massive amount of hindsight in that thing. You're like, fuck, that's so great. It would have been so bad. And like the thing that really got me was like, I carried on and like I knew what I needed to do and was like walk into the fishing village to get this boat to the third place. And one of my thought cabinet things came off and I forgot it was there, and it was thought about when you gather all the bits of the armor from the dead body,
right? You
can internalize the armor,
right?
Like study it and stuff like that. Thought process went off and said, oh, you've learned about the T500 armor, the power armor. You look at it and it says you get a plus something or whatever, and then it says you understand perfectly how this armor is put together. This might be useful. I was like, fuck, if that had gone off faster, I might have been able to do something with the armor, or like have a shot at like a weak spot or something like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, there's so many things in this thing that all could have gone differently.
That's going to be super interesting.
That like like all these different people with different builds or had found different evidence, or like I don't know what someone with without visual calculus would have done in that situation, because they've got no idea about the shots or anything.
Yeah,
I was like, well,
at that point you're just gonna have to like talk them down.
Yeah, you just have to be. But to me, it just seemed like they weren't getting talked down at all. Like But yeah, it was an
That's
amazing,
gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment where it all
and it's
crystallized.
Also the fact that even though I know that moment, I don't know how my character is gonna treat it.
Exactly.
So like, we're gonna
even me saying it, it'll go a billion different ways for a billion different people.
Totally.
But yeah.
Die Hardman's final speech is here not because the content of the speech is good, because the content of the speech is nonsense.
Yeah.
As is most of the dialogue and narrative in that game.
Yep.
But
it's a good performance.
Performance and delivery is really like it's next level shit. Like especially considering like most of the other characters in that game have like 2 expressions. Yeah. Like Redis does a pretty decent job as Sam.
Yeah.
He's not the most expressive of gentlemen.
No, he is not.
And like Fragile goes a little bit further, but
she's at least sad sometimes.
She has but she's like the whole point of her character is that she's a like husk of a person left, right? And like even Guillermo del Toro is like he's a bit jovial, but he's still like one note. So to watch this character have basically a breakdown about like repenting for all of this stuff that he's done, which again narratively doesn't make a lot of sense and feels a little bit unearned. Yeah. But the capture of that performance and his delivery
the actor brilliant. Killed it on it. Yeah, it's a really solid both mocap performance and vocal performance.
Yeah, and
it's
like
a really
super
powerful.
Like
it makes you feel really
intense,
bad.
Like really, really hard to watch at points.
Yeah.
Tell me about the opening credits. Is this the fucking slow motion van?
This is where Devil Trigger comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like it's the start of the game after the prologue, and it is Nico and Nero in their van going towards the Clythod for the first time.
I forgot about the names.
And they're just like shooting the shit or whatever, and Nico is like smoking, and then the demons appear, and Nero is just like looks at her and is like, "Yep, I know what to do." She fucking does a massive 180, and the whole cutscene goes into slow-mo while Devil Trigger plays, which is just again crazy song, but it is a cutscene of this van flipping and rotating in slow motion while Nero is like doing pirouettes with his gun, like shooting these monsters. They included like jumping off of street signs and like ricocheting bullets off of street signs into things' head. And it like cuts into the camera of like Nico inside the van who's like catching a cigarette with her mouth while he's doing all these flips around. It's just this crazy all the while the actual opening like credits of the game are like appearing on like street signs and in the wheels of the van
and like reflected in shattered glass.
Yeah, like reflected and stuff like that. And it's fucking wild. Like it's such this crazy like over the top thing, and then like Nero lands back in the van and they keep going, and the thing that saves it, which makes it so perfect, is like this whole big thing has happened and Nico on the inside has been smoking. The van lands and pulls off, and written on the street at the bottom of it is, "This game does not condone the use of cigarettes."
Yeah, like this is weird.
Oh, it's so perfect. It is so good.
I'll also say, if you have the special edition of that game and have the previs,
that's like, also really good.
The game has the thing of like, I think it's like a DLC pack, but basically it replaces all of the cutscenes with like the developers like fucking around in a room trying to get camera shots and stuff like that.
It like pans between the actual actors doing the lines and then like models of the van and like toys and stuff. It's great.
There's like
hilarious.
Action figures spinning around, or they've like cut out one of the characters and spinning them.
It's hysterical. It's really funny.
I really like that.
But yeah, that is again, that combined with Devil Trigger is just what that game is. Like in like a 3-minute cutscene.
Yes, exactly. I'm assuming this is winning a game of Apex Legends.
Winning a game of Apex feels really good, man. Like,
pretty good.
It's not any different to winning a game in any other battle royale, but it still feels really good.
Totally.
Apex was the first experience I had with battle royale games.
Like the 4 victories I've ever had in that game have been pretty great.
Yeah, I've won several times in that game, and they've all been either I felt like the best person ever, or I've been the luckiest fucker I've ever seen in my life, and they both feel great.
It's Apex. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to be cheap in Apex. Like when you've got like in like PUBG and stuff like that, where you can just fucking hunker down behind a tree and you'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
like Apex, you can't. There's no real option to do that. Like
No.
you have to at least do something. Yes, you might get really lucky and just land a shot,
Yeah.
or you're excellent, but you can't be cheap really. So you at least earn
No,
that last section.
all the victories usually end in some sort of gunfight, like actual stand up.
You have to put a shot.
You
on
have
someone.
to kill this person. I've seen some cheesy wins, but I've never experienced them.
Oh yeah, like I like the ones that are like people abusing. Well, not like, because it happened to me at one point, but people abusing the like lifeline shield to lock people in rooms as the stuff.
There's that, and there was like things you could do with Wraith's alt portal.
Oh yeah,
where you get to the final thing where it's all deadly gas, and you just sit and bounce between portals while the other person dies.
Yep.
But yeah, it just feels really good. It was a good thing.
Vitalis from Plague Tale Innocence. This is basically the final boss fight. So Vitalis is like the
Preacher Man.
Yeah. And he's.
I think I know what this is.
So this is the final, like, hey, you thought that rat tech was good. Now watch as we throw fucking thousands of them at you at once. And it has this, without going into the entire story of the game, but basically like the whole reason your little brother is ill is because he has this power which is given like once in every 10 generations or whatever it is, and it's why the rats have come and all this kind of stuff. But basically, the side effect of it is he controls the rats.
Yeah,
like he can control the rats. But what Vitalis has been doing for the whole game is he's been taking the rats and modifying them so that like they aren't
modifying the
they
rats.
aren't susceptible to like light. They are fine with light now.
Okay.
And they're white rats as opposed to like the dark rats that you've got. So it just ends up with this bizarre fight in a church, in a cathedral, where it's like he's on one side with all of his white rats, and you're on the other side with all the dark rats, and you're literally like
you throwing rats at each other.
Kind of like he creates these pillars of rats, and then drops them on you for a while.
Okay.
So it's like traditional boss fight shit, but then like you have to get to the point where like you wear them out so much that you then shout to Hugo, who's your little brother, and go like, "Go game now!" It just creates this cyclone of rats that goes like right down the middle and fucking explodes on him.
Is there not a cutscene of like the Vitalis guy like assembling rats around himself?
Yeah, so he wraps rats around himself and then drops a pillar of rats on you. It's dumb.
That's
but like
dumb.
It was a really good. There's a couple of moments near the end of that game where they really show off what they can do with that rat tech.
Yeah.
Of like, it's not just like clouds of them that move in light. Like they can make cyclones. They can,
pillars.
They can do things of like they can make them like run in like do like intricate patterns around people as stuff's happening. They make big clouds of them and all this. It was just a really dumb moment of like, okay. And it was also like, as a boss fight, like I was super confused because there's like 3 stages to the boss fight, and your only weapon is a sling with a rock. So the thing starts and you're directly in front of them. There's this like clear kind of gap in front of you, and there's like dark rats on either side.
Right.
And I'd forgotten at this point that I could just fucking run through the rats, because the whole entire game's been training you never to run through the rats. So Vitalis kept creating these columns of rats and dropping them on you, and you've got like 3 feet of space. And I just kept dying over and over. Just kept dropping. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Forgetting like, oh, you can just run through the rats, and then you've got hundreds of space.
Yeah.
Where you can just like, it was just really
all that
dumb.
Space to move around.
Yeah, it was great. How do you want to do this Kingdom Hearts stuff?
So yeah, the last 4 hours is a joke. Like I was doing that because the last 6 hours of that game is like the conclusion.
Well, it's also like all of the narrative of that game.
It's also pretty much all the important narrative of that game, where it's like the light fighting the darkness and the Keyblade getting made and all that stuff. I'll not go through it again because you can listen to the spoiler cast for it. But it is this weird moment of them very quickly trying to resolve 14 years worth of story and almost getting it.
They
like
almost
quite pulling it off. And like Donald becoming the most powerful magic user ever.
I get reminded of that by somebody who was like, oh right, that's a thing that now happens canonically.
So
in
yeah,
that game.
canonically, if the Final Fantasy worlds and the Kingdom Hearts worlds both exist in tandem, the most powerful magic user that has ever existed is Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Because he Zeta flared that one thing, and no one has ever cast Zeta Flare before. It was ridiculous, but yeah. The main thing in that thing is the bit under it, which is the Keyblade Graveyard thing, which is specifically the moment after Sora comes back from the dead realm that I can't remember the name of. Like after he dies and he effectively time travels back.
Yeah.
And they Terra Xehanort summons the giant, like, huge pillar of Heartless.
Yeah.
That is, like, constantly sending, like, stuff out and killing people and dealing with it and stuff. And it ends with Riku, like, holding back the wave against Sora. And then, originally what happens is Riku gets taken over and then Sora dies. And then they do that whole thing. But what happens this time is Riku stops and then the whole world goes white. And then Ephemer from the mobile game, who's the kid with the white hair and the scarf, shows up in Sora's mind, and is like, "It looks like you could use some help," and like, lets his hand out, and Sora grabs his hand, and at that moment, every Keyblade in the Keyblade graveyard animates, and goes around Sora and starts protecting him from the thing, and what it becomes is that last moment in Nier Automata, where you're like firing the credits and like people's names are coming in, except you are using the Keyblades of all the people that used the mobile game, and it has like their name and their whatever house they belong. Not house. The whatever.
Yes.
Is it house?
No.
Can't remember what the fuck it is. But anyway,
chapter? I can't remember.
Their name and their logo on it, and you're like throwing their Keyblades at the Heartless, and you're like surfing on a giant Keyblade. And it becomes that moment of like, it just becomes a shmup of you firing these Keyblades at the Heartless with Ephemer's help, and it is just this moment of like, fuck, they're actually using the mobile game for once, and it's all these names.
Yeah, but also like, none of that game makes sense unless you know the story of the mobile game, right? Like,
not really, but well, the ending sure doesn't. But yeah, it's just this moment of like, if you don't know what the fuck that is, that moment means nothing.
Exactly.
To you, but it's really cool if you know what it is.
I'll also say, I think I didn't write down on here because I don't think it qualified, but like, like the whole end sections of Death Stranding are so wild that, I mean, there's bits of it, but like, so like the final, well, not the final fight, the fight with Higgs, with the like giant,
the fist fight.
No, not even that. Like the fight before that, where he's the big giant.
Oh,
BT
that
man.
thing, yeah.
But like that does the Nier thing as well. Of like when you're in that area and like other players are, because it's the thing that they say in the and it was. So there's the thing where like other players will come up and like throw you rocket launchers and be like, "Here you go, help."
Yeah.
And then you die at that point and go into the seam.
The seam. Yeah, the thing where the repatriate lives.
Where you repatriate. And the time I went in there were other players, like bodies in the thing.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, that's a cool thing to do in this final boss fight. Is have all things who will be able to give you stuff, and then you repatriate, and then you go again. But the thing was, like, I never died in that game.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
Yeah.
So I got to the scene for the first time in the near end boss fight, and all these fucking tooltips started coming up of being like, there are other people you can find in the scene. And it's like, I'm about to finish this fucking game. Like, don't tell me this stuff now. And then the fist fight and just
the fist fight's really dumb.
All of that stuff is just so dumb. It's not worth talking about.
The other Kingdom Hearts thing that I can say is the Woody's 3-minute monologue.
Right, I heard a lot of people talk about this.
Fucking spectacular because it's so stupid.
It's like all about friendship.
So yeah, the whole point is that at the end of the Toy Story world, Buzz gets corrupted by the darkness,
right?
And gets,
as we always knew,
as you do in a Kingdom Hearts game, and gets taken away by young Xehanort into the darkness.
Yep.
And Sora goes in and fights Buzz. But then Sora gets like taken, I think it's by like big shadowy tentacles or something, I can't remember what it is. And it looks like it's all going to go bad, and then the darkness starts getting repelled, and you look over and it's Woody who's come into the dark realm, and every time he takes a step, the darkness retreats. And he starts mouthing off about like how can't give in to darkness because you have all these friends that you need to, and it is literally just the Kingdom Hearts drinking game rule list of words to drink to, where it's just like he says heart, darkness, key, light, like all these things, friends, everything talks about friendship. Takes a step forward, light's receding, Sora gets dropped by the tentacles, and then gets to Buzz and just like reaches out his hand and just goes It's like a super long monologue for something so dumb.
So Donald Duck is the most powerful magician, and Woody is the
Woody theoretically has one of the strongest hearts in the Kingdom Hearts universe. Yeah, Like, that's like proper Princess of Heart level power, and it is...
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
Yeah, it's like,
what?
It's unbelievable that was a thing that happened in that game. It was crazy.
I mean, in the grand scheme of all of the things that happened in that game, like...
No, yeah, well, that,
but
yeah,
also, like,
in terms of the Disney world, that was the
entire Disney canon they can pull from, and Woody being a super important character.
I know.
It's just like, do they just want Tom Hanks to do a little bit more?
It's not even Tom Hanks.
It's his
like,
brother,
it's his
right?
brother, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Loot playing in Mordhau.
This is real dumb.
It was just hysterical. Like, it was just so funny that one of the classes in that game, the engineer, has one of the options which is just a loot.
Yeah,
and you can use it as a weapon. Like, you can turn it around and hit people with
it.
But if you play it, it becomes like you can play 2 notes, and then you can, whatever direction your mouse is, plays a different
it like
note.
changes the octaves.
Yeah,
right?
it changes the octave around. And when that game came out, it was a bunch of people just being like, blink, 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 blink,
as you would.
And I was like, that's funny or whatever. But then people started writing scripts for loot playing in Mordhau.
You can feed it MIDI files, and it knows which buttons and which direction to point. Where you just hit play, and it starts playing fucking Fire and Flames.
Yeah, so there were people like doing Dragon Force, they were doing Doom levels, they were doing fucking Megalovania, and so you were trying to play the game all the while this fucking loot guy was running behind you playing E1M1 from Doom. It was the dumbest thing, but it was so funny. It was great.
Like, the couple of games of Mordhau I played after that became a thing.
Yeah,
and people were just playing. I can't even remember what it was they were playing. It may have been like some. I can't remember. It was something. It was something very fast anyway.
Yeah.
So this guy's just there and like gets in front of me, he's just fucking like noodling away.
Yeah,
this loot.
the best thing about it is that the players, because they didn't need to click or do anything like that, they had the mouse control and were just like head banging the entire time.
Well, because it's changing direction, like they're kind of
they're just like going like this the whole time.
But this kid's in front of me just fucking noodling away at this guitar, so just runs out with a frying pan, just bonk, runs away.
Every single time it always ended with his head getting cut off. It was amazing. It was just so funny.
It's such a dumb thing. I really appreciate it. And then inside the mind, is this just the point where he like descends into his own brain?
Yeah, when he passes out in the river, and Pedro is like, "I'll save you," and you go inside the head, and it's all just like pink unicorns and like bouncing on rainbows and stuff like that.
That was real weird.
I was just like, "What the fuck is going on? This is ridiculous!" Like, and it's really cool mechanically as well, because you're on like 0G with bounce pads. You're like doing like 1080 flips and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. I just thought it was so weird.
It was very, very dumb. Yeah. Okay. After all of that, what are we thinking? So it sounds like the Tribunal is like the big part of that game.
That was really good. That was a solid moment. Ashtray Maze, I think, has to be in there.
The Ashtray Maze was spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, even though I knew kind of what was coming, it kind of...
So I didn't, and I thought that was great. I knew the Ashtray Maze was important.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I had a rough idea of, like, oh, they're just going to fuck with you in this maze.
Yeah.
But, like, the way they pulled it off
even to the degree they did it was impressive.
Sure. Like, the only credits of DMC5 are so outlandish. Like, I'm considering it. Like, it's just so stupid.
I would be okay with it because it is really fucking dumb. Like, and like the footage that I've recorded has that entire sequence in it, so you can just have that if you want.
Awesome.
It's
I'm trying to think. A kite. The Untitled Goose Game Final Task, potentially, just because it was such a massive fuck you that I wasn't expecting.
It was in a game about fucking with everybody. It was the finally the game turning around and being like, nah, fuck you.
Also how that game ends, where you get the bell all the way back to your house, and he just throws it on a pile of bells.
Yeah,
like he's obviously been doing this for years.
Yeah, this is just what he does.
Which is really good.
That's pretty good. I quite like that.
Can't really think of anything else. Nothing really jumps out at me. I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those 4, and we lose one of the top 4 there. Is it the final task of Goose Game?
Do you want to keep the opening credits for DMC? It's supremely stupid.
It's really
and
dumb.
It gets even better when you watch it in the special edition.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually want to keep that. That's, yeah.
You talk yourself into that. Yeah. Yeah, I might have to get rid of the Goose Game
Yeah.
thing. So maybe the Tribunal, the Ashtray Maze, and the opening credits of DMC5.
Yep.
And then, I mean, the Tribunal sounds like a hell of a thing.
I honestly think it might be the Ashtray Maze, to be honest.
Think?
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
The Tribunal's like a really cool scene, but that game has a lot of them.
Totally.
But it's like the marquee moment of that is like, it's the first time that like actual violence has been used.
Right.
Kind of. It's the first time that violence has been used against you, but yeah.
But like, which makes it all the more impactful when there's like,
there's no, in a game with no combat.
Exactly. Okay, let's.
But yeah, the Ashtray Maze is such a staggering thing of like design and execution that it's...
And again, like, shares kind of similarities to the opening credits of DMC5, where like the music is so dumb.
Oh yeah.
Like, to pair it with this just complete nonsense happening on screen.
I do really like it.
So the best moment is the Ashtray Maze from Control,
with
the Tribunal from Disco Elysium, and the opening credits from Devil May Cry 5. That sounds real dumb. And I need to go watch that DMC5.
Yeah, you should.
Again,
it's great.
At some point.
It's really good.